FloWrestling recently bought TrackWrestling, and this has been a deal that's been going on for quite some time, but it has recently been announced that Flow acquired TrackWrestling. So in the press release on February 5th, FloWrestling announced the acquisition of TrackWrestling, including all of the company's assets and existing broadcasting rights. The acquisition unites the wrestling community under one umbrella and bridges TrackWrestling's powerful suite of event management and online registration tools with Flow Sports' unsurpassed live and on-demand wrestling programming and industry-leading content, news, and analysis featured on its award-winning digital platform. So this has kind of shocked the wrestling world over the past week. The FloWrestling actually buying TrackWrestling. These are two of the leading names in wrestling, not just in college wrestling, but in U.S. wrestling and really worldwide wrestling, in a lot of these events, being able to watch international events with TrackWrestling. And the question has been going around, like, whether this is actually good for wrestling or not. And is this a problem? Is this, like, what's up with this? So what is Track bringing to FloWrestling? And before I get to that, I do want to ask you what you think about this. Please drop a comment. What do you think? Are you excited that Flow bought Track? I know a lot of people are upset, and I'll get to my opinions, but Track is going to be bringing their event management system, which is actually used by thousands of events every single year, including many high school tournaments in the NCAA tournament. And if you watch any Big Ten wrestling or really a lot of any wrestling on TV, you'll see that TrackWrestling rankings are right across the bottom of the screen. That's what is used by a lot of the broadcasting of wrestling. Now, all these services that Track has is bringing over to Flow will actually continue, and the good thing is they're adding actually 700 new events to Flow Wrestling's arsenal. So I was also reading this article about what's going on here, and Flow said that they had over 43 million minutes watched of content, which is impressive. And then I was really interested because I'm a really analytical, statistical guy. I checked out my minutes watched in content last year. It was 7 million minutes watched, so not quite on Flow Wrestling's level, but considering it's just one guy here putting on the show, not too shabby. So anyways, what are the pros and cons of this? So the good thing is that there is more content. Hopefully there's going to be a lot more content. One thing I'd like to see is potentially another show on Flow Wrestling other than just FRL and the Bader show. I'd like to see a show. Honestly, I'd like to see a show with Shane Sparks. I mean, well, that was a tongue twister. Shane Sparks is coming over from TrackWrestling. He's a big sports broadcaster on the Big Ten network. They're hopefully going to be bringing more content creators like Andy Hamilton, Kyle Klingman, Shane Sparks. Flow Wrestling actually just met up they had like a little get-together the other day, Flow and Track. Track came down to Austin, Texas at the Flow Wrestling headquarters. The other good thing here is that they're condensing a lot of the media, condensing a lot of these sites and bringing more. I think one good pro, hopefully, is they're going to be bringing more better rankers. There's been a little bit, since Willie Saylor left Flow Wrestling, there's been a little bit of a question about whether Flow's rankers are as good. I know that's a whole debate in itself, what are the best rankings, but, with Track and Flow coming together, I think we'll get the best of both worlds and get, hopefully even better rankings than we have in the past, and better bracketing. The big thing is Flow Arena is where a lot of these events are held. You go into Flow Arena, you see how what each of the brackets are for certain big events. TrackWrestling has their own system, and talking on the Bader show the other day was Mark Bader and Shane Sparks discussing what this is going to happen. They're going to be kind of taking the best of both worlds here and getting one subscription for all tournaments. Now, that is one of the cons, because some people think that this one subscription price, okay, well, I already pay for TrackWrestling. I already pay for Flow Wrestling. Now I'm just going to have to pay even more. And supposedly it's going to stay the same price. We'll see about that. I know that this has angered a lot of fans, saying that this is just Flow buying up all the competition. They're becoming a monopoly, and I guess that's one thing about it. If you want my honest opinion, I didn't really use TrackWrestling a whole lot. I think a lot of their software is actually pretty antiquated, and I haven't been a huge fan of it. I know that that's not necessarily the majority opinion, but for me, I actually enjoy Flow Arena and some of their other systems more. There are definitely some bad sides about Flow and their software as well, but for me, like, Track's just a little bit too difficult and antiquated and just older to use, So anyways, this is, big news that came out of FloWrestling and TrackWrestling, so I'm interested to see how it drives forward the sport of wrestling. If you like this clip and are looking for more wrestling news and discussion, I recommend that you check out the full Fanco Wrestling Show podcast, which is live on this YouTube channel every single week. You can click here to subscribe to be notified of new and upcoming videos, or you can check out the Fanco Wrestling Show on your favorite podcasting platform to listen on the go. Stop stalling and start listening today.